If it's always God's plan, then what's the point of praying for someone? I'm an atheist, but just to attempt to offer some Steelman arguments. 1. Not all religions believe in predestination. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/predestination. It's actually a point of some contention among theologians. So, depending on what you actually believe, it may not always be God's plan. 2. Praying is not necessarily to entreat God to intervene on your behalf, but to reflect and make sense of events. Prayer is for you to understand, not to influence God's will. 3. People benefit from having the support of those who care about them. Telling a relative who is sick that you're praying for them in effect tells them, I care about you and want you to get better. Studies have shown people who have a strong support network and good relationships are more likely to recover from illnesses. Whether that care is expressed by praying or not may be incidental, but if that's how someone expresses it, who cares? Interestingly, I have a serious answer that might surprise you. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask Him. The intent of prayer is to thank God for doing what He will do and has done, not to request something of Him. So if I'm understanding you, then the correct prayer of a man whose father is dying from cancer is not to ask God to cure the cancer, it's to thank God for giving his father the gift of cancer and, should the cancer take his father from this life, to thank God for that too? It's religion, it's not supposed to make sense. It's supposed to look like it makes sense, but when you think about it for a minute it falls apart like House of Cards. That's why one of the fundamental rules of all religions is to never question religious authority. I was always taught and believe prayer is used to ask for the help to find the strength, compassion, etc., needed to get through a crisis. Doesn't this come back to the initial question, though? If it was God's plan, you'd have the tools to get through a crisis. If you don't, it wasn't His plan. And I'm not saying this to be a dick, but the concept of praying and the concept of predestination seem to conflict with one another. Predestination is a heresy in the Orthodox Christian Church, so this line of thought is moot from an Orthodox perspective. Prayer can be for a multitude of things. As thanks or to ask for things doesn't mean you'll get everything handed on a silver platter. If you pray for the ability to forgive but you are not ready to forgive, till the soil that is your heart, then you can't forgive because you're not ready yet. Prayer can help get ready for it as well. Struggles are part of life. The contemporary Saint Porphyrios, died in the 90s, was very sickly during his life and was thankful for it because it made his life easier and kept him from being led astray. So yes, you can thank God for struggles too. It's actually important to do so. So if you pray for a dying father, pray that he'll have a peaceful afterlife and peaceful passing, since his time has come on this earth. Death in orthodoxy is not the end, so the nihilistic viewpoint makes no sense in an orthodox context. Catholicism has some differences, but the answer should be mostly the same for them too. This was just a quick summary of complex points that would take a lot to get into a fun quote by His Excellency Seraphim, Romanian Orthodox Metropolite in the Germanic countries, is, God'll always forgive, no matter how much you wronged Him. Humans sometimes forgive, depending on how much you wronged them, but nature never forgives. What you do in this world to nature will not be forgiven by it. Take care of the environment and yourselves. Our bodies are part of nature, in a sense, so we have to take care of our bodies too. If we drink and smoke or pollute the environment and damage our bodies because of it, then it's on us. We should take responsibility, because nature doesn't forgive. It's also important to note, since many people demand justice and whatnot, God also isn't just. He loves us so much that He is unjust, is a quote by a saint whose name's slipping my mind at the moment. So He'd give us a little bit of leeway in our struggles as long as we're looking for it. When talking about Christian topics, it is important to understand that there is more than just the material world that needs to be taken into account. If you have any questions, I can expand upon things. I think it might be more like thanking him for giving you such a great father, and for the time you had together, and thanking him that through salvation, you'll see each other again in heaven. I'm an atheist, but that's my understanding of the approach. Also an atheist, with varying degrees of religious family, some devout fundamentalists. This hits the nail on the head. It's acknowledging, showing gratitude, and connecting. It's a conversation between you and your higher power, not a wish list. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. Soren Kierkegaard. So, meditation? Quite close actually. The reason I liked researching Islam boils very much to the idea of, you do it for yourself and not others. Unlike Christianity, there is no middleman. No Jesus to pray to, no Pope to forgive you. Your connection with God is yours alone, and as such it promotes the idea of openness and in this case, meditation. If, in this moment I told you, God is listening to your request, what will you ask of him? Will you ask for a pizza, or will it be to help solve your everlasting problem, say finding a job or illness? As such, it makes you more aware of what you want and how it correlates with what you *** need. Over time, this does bring about a sense of maturation, very much the same way meditation does. Exactly. Gratitude journaling, positive affirmations, future visualizations, mantras. That's all prayer. The psychological benefits are well studied and profound. Which God? Depending on the religion, the answer might vary significantly. Well, it's gotta be Zeus. He'll turn into a horse and fuck you to health. God's like your mom, he appreciates the phone call every once in a while. One time while I was in college, my mom got annoyed that I didn't call her back quickly enough, so she literally drove to the campus and left a note on my dorm room door to call her back. It was a little disturbing. I can only imagine how disturbing it'd be for God to do that. God does that time to time in the Bible, but usually ends with someone dying. The point of praying for someone is to do absolutely nothing to help but still pat yourself on the back. No wonder your name is Jizz Cauldron. I'm going to answer as a religious person, not a half-assed, silly Christian's lol. There's a time to discuss an opinion with someone who agrees with you about it, right? God knows your faith even more than you do, but prayer shows your faith. It's how you say you want God to do something and consent to him doing it. Hopefully, if it's his will, he will do what's right. That's the point Op is making. If it's his will, then prayer is redundant. Why would a supreme creator being who knew your inner heart then want you to engage in some pointless public display of faith? A show is the exact opposite of knowing God and keeping him inside of you. Jesus, or God if you like, even says it. Matthew chapter 6 details it clearly. As an atheist, it's easy to get pissed off when people say they are praying for you or a loved one because you know they aren't actually able to influence the outcome. However, I do tend to believe most people who say it mean well and are intending to say, I am thinking of your loved one and really want them to stop suffering and get better soon. I can't do much to help your pain, but I empathize with you and hope for the best. Well, it depends on if you believe that everything only goes according to God's plan, despite the fact he openly states that other forces, including other, unnamed deities, may intervene. And he also openly states that Satan tempts us away from his ideology. A plan isn't a literal guarantee, since plans can be disrupted or halted or even overthrown, which is what God himself actually warns against when speaking of being tempted by other beings including Satan. I can plan to go to work tomorrow, but if some drunk nutcase cuts me off in traffic and causes a car accident, my plan goes off the rails and I have to quickly rearrange things. But, presumably, this is one of those atheistic questions akin to, what does God need with a starship? Meant as some kind of veiled insult. So let's take it at face value. Okay, well, just because everything is Going according to his plan and it seems bleak for you doesn't mean he shows no mercy. Especially since Jesus literally says, in no uncertain terms, he shows mercy to those who seek it from him. So praying alerts him, for lack of a better term. It asks him for mercy, or at least for guidance, helping you to understand what he has planned and wrought. In fact, most prayer is more like, why is this happening, Lord? Than, I want to see your manager, Lord, which seems to be how atheists view prayer, frankly as a kind of projection and what they expect from a ruler, emo, but I digress. So simply asking God for guidance and what your place is in his plan is the actual purpose of prayer. Like asking a ruling king what to do next as a citizen of his kingdom. Which, again, is literally what he says.